live with that, they're not fighting?
They were here, and there's also something that is a big help to the town too, which is an even bigger cost savings, is that if they had gone to that $200 a ton on the sludges from our wastewater plant, but that would be exempted from any landfill charges.
Okay.
Part of this agreement.
Additionally, the town shall dispose of sewage sludge generated at, only to Nottaway County landfill at no charge to the town, right? So that was additional to that.
So we not only got a little bit of increase in price, we now have the ability to take sludge.
And we're dramatically cheaper than anybody else in the region.
We could have gone to 2 or 3 cents and still been fine.
You could have gone 3 cents and still been the lowest around.
The
So,
closest would have been South Hill.
They were
South
people
Hill.
up to 15 cents.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let the record show, again, the town of Blackstone's generosity and goodwill toward our friends in Ottawa County.
Now, you wanted to make this retroactive to July for what duration period of time?
well, I think the county wanted a 3-year term. I took the 3-year term out because I don't think the landfill fees are resolved ultimately. So they wanted a commitment for 3 years, but it doesn't have. So really, it's an annual appropriation. Or if the town council decides, you can change it at any time.
I would like to reserve that right.
Yeah.
So 1 year with the,
Logically, I would think it would be in the budget process when we're doing the other fees and rates. But if something suddenly comes up and the county comes back and says, we're reinstituting our town-only prejudicial garbage policy, then you have the right to come back and do that.
so we say 1 year with the town council right to revisit.
Sounds good.
But normally such contracts, you have to give 30 or 60 days notice, so shouldn't be required to give notice?
I think there is a notice obligation in here.
All right,
It is retroactive to 2022.
see that.
Um,
8 says about immediately suspend, but it's only if the leachate or sewage is
Presents an imminent or substantial endangerment.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do about the financial part of it.
So
Which I agree. I mean, we need to give them notice if we're going to go up.
I would say we do a 1-year contract retroactive to July 1st with us giving 30 days notice to the county, if at least 30 days notice in writing that we're going to change the terms of the agreement.
Two items that Mr. Costin had asked us to include, and one is in section 9.
Okay.
It says, what it currently says, the parties reserve the right to modify the agreement to comply with state, federal, and local regs or in response to changes in process, discharges, or operations at the Blackstone wastewater treatment plant. He asked if he could add, or we could add, or the Nottaway County landfill. Changes in process, discharge, or operations at the, I think it's a fairly benign
That's benign.
request. The second item, and this is an email that he sent to me last Thursday, and I went through it this morning, insert the word proven in section 7. I think it's unnecessary, but it currently reads, purchaser shall be liable for any and all damages to the Blackstone wastewater treatment plant and sewage system specifically resulting from its leachate and sewage delivery and or treatment, and shall indemnify the town from any and all liability, damages, fines, or penalties incurred by the purchaser resulting from the leachate and sewage delivery and or treatment. I think when it says specifically resulting, it covers what he wants to include, which is the term that is proven.
That's too vague. Proven by who? Proven by what?
That's what.
Yeah, no, I'd say
I
just
hung
keep
on
like
that
it
one
is.
because I think we're covering it. It's got to be specific to something that they've done. So if you do number 9, I'll tell Ted number 7 just didn't happen, and we think it's covered.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the modification to number 9 and not make the requested change on 7, if someone would like to make that motion, or not.
I move to approve of the agreement as presented with the,
30-day notice.
with 30-day notice and changing the item on number 9. Correct, Philip? That says Blackstone wastewater treatment plant and Nottaway County landfill. And this agreement is for the 1-for-1 deal, 100% treatment at 1 penny.
A fee of 1 cent per gallon of leachate.
And Ms. Jones has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, let me do a roll call because it will end up involving more than $10,000 with the money, revenue. Roll call vote starting with Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Morgan has stepped out briefly, so it's 5-0. Moving right along, we have the water supply issue, a rather big issue, folks.
And a revised copy of the letter is at y'all's desk.
Yes, this is basically a letter that is going to go to the Board of Supervisors, proposed to be signed by all 3 mayors. I think Brookville has said they want to have a 90-day review period.
I think it's a 90-day table or whatever action I don't know the motion exactly, but Sean Davis from Crew sent me an email last week saying that they'd asked for a 90-day period to consider what the state is going to do. Do we have 90 days?
Is this letter effective after 90 days? you think?
As long as the county doesn't take any action, I think we may be all
I
right.
don't know of any coming, but just for the benefit of the audience, the three towns are discussing ways to resolve water challenges in each community. There's an effort by Prince Edward County to run a water line. Nottaway County is being asked to give Prince Edward County permission to run a water line to serve any establishment it wants to serve, whether it be a state or it's very open-ended, and we view that somewhat as a threat because it could, once you create the monster and they build a $50 million sewer plant at Sandy River Reservoir, and that's great for Prince Edward. We all need all the water we can drink. It's wonderful. That monster's got to eat. And the way you eat is you get new customers. And I don't know what's going on. I really don't. No one publicly at the county level has said, I believe that this pipeline should come into Nottaway County for this XYZ. No one's made that argument. It's been over a year of hush-hush. There's been some public dialogue, but not satisfactory to my curiosity. What's going on here? I know that the state would like to get water from Prince Edward. And that would threaten Crew. And we were contacted. We did a lot. We spent 27. How much money did the town spend in good faith?
27,000.
We were approached by the state, and everything we did was in the interest of the county. In fact, we had one conference call where I said, and I'm on record, the supervisor from Burkeville was in a conference call. I said, look, if Blackstone's going to be the solution to provide water, I want to make sure also Burkeville is part of that solution if we're going to be a truly countywide. Blackstone Reservoir, the Fort Pickett Reservoir, we're permitted for up to, I think we're at 9 million gallons per day.
Safe yield.
Safe
of 9
yield.
million. Ultimately, 9 million gallons of water potentially could be drawn out of the reservoir based on the permit. Currently, with the current configurations, 3.28 million can be drawn from the reservoir.
And we're taking out how much a day? 300, 400,000 gallons?
400,000, maybe a little more, maybe 25.
There's
450.
excess capacity. So,
And Pickett reserves not only what they're using, which is about 100,000 gallons a day, but they also reserve 1 million gallons in the event of mobilization.
M-Day. So basically what's before the council is a letter that the mayor of Crew, they're fighting for survival, folks. There's just no doubt about it. He'd like this to go to the board of supervisors, basically saying the three towns are talking, continue to work out solutions. Please don't do anything until we exhaust all options at the municipal level to try to resolve this issue. So the question before you do is, would you authorize the mayor of Blackstone to sign this letter that the mayor of Crew has signed? I think the mayor of Burkeville is, they want to wait 90 days for some reason. I don't know
I
why,
was about
but
to say, what would be the reason of that, and not go ahead and get ahead of this?
I think they've already adopted a resolution, if I'm not mistaken, supporting the Prince Edward County line.
that is correct.
This would be in defiance of a previous action. The email that I got from Sean last week was that Burkeville, and I wasn't there, I don't know, was that Burkeville wanted to speak to the State Department of General Service folks or the prison and all that sort of thing before they executed it.
That's because Burkeville is gonna benefit either way, whether it's Prince Edward or us.
Yeah, I think so.
Crew will suffer, and so
Crew
that's
gets
why we're here
on the
to help
chops.
Crew.
Yeah.
And Crew's definitely gonna suffer, and Burkeville's got a pretty good deal from Prince Edward if they decided to take
They
it.
can access that water line.
But
Crew,
they still got to pay for the water though, right?
I
Because
would
right
think
now
so.
they get their water from underground wells. And
And-
some
and-
folks in Burkeville don't want to abandon those wells. Some folks in Burkeville, when you talk about abandoning those wells, there's a fight.
And I
going
don't
on.
think
Optional
the-
customer Burkeville.
What's that?
Burkeville will be an optional customer if they ever decided to be a customer,
Yeah.
but there's no requirement to hook up from
Gotcha.
Prince
I think
Edward.
Lonnie had a question. real
I
quick.
did, and Philip, you might be able to answer this. This out of, if we did supply, or whoever supplied water to Crew, it's gonna have some type of pumping station in between. Is that gonna increase, how much is that gonna increase the pressure to the water?
I think you're gonna
line?
have to have a booster station between Blackstone and Crew. Sadly, the state, despite it being public documents paid for by taxpayers, refuses to share with us any of their engineering documentation and their cost estimates. Surprisingly, they've,
We paid 27,000 for
no, we've got that.
it? Okay.
What they won't give us is their engineering work. And Joe D'Amico told me, no, that's not available to you. It's really been shocking and surprising the way it's gone down. It started with the state coming to us and said, we're bypassing Crew. We're going to throw them in a ditch. And we said, we can't do that. Guys, it will be World War III in Nottaway County. It makes no sense. So we said, crew's got to be involved. We came back to them, and I specifically told the state $12 a gallon, or per 1,000 gallons, but it's negotiable because the raw water line was going to affect how we do that. But if crew and the prisons were to pay 100% of that raw water line, it would have been $12. And I don't know, maybe that part negotiable, they didn't even show up for a meeting. We had a committee meeting that the state refused to come to. It's just been really weird, unmanageable, but
Like something's been going on behind.
Oh, there definitely has, but I will tell you this right now, there was a meeting I attended about a year and a half in the town manager's office. It was, we had 3 representatives from the state, and I left that meeting convinced, my goodness, Blackstone is we're gonna serve the state facilities, sell the water to crew would still be fine. I thought everything was great. And then things got quiet, and then all of a sudden, people didn't return phone calls, and, I mean, it's
and I
been,
think they have an MOU signed with Prince Edward County that we've been privileged to be given a copy of, and Prince Edward County is saying they'll sell it to the prisons for $11 a 1,000 gallons. Now, the $12 is negotiable. We did at our last meeting mention, citizens in Blackstone buy retail water for $8.47 or $8.50 per 1,000 gallons. It's going to be mighty tough to sell it to a citizen and crew for less than $8.50. But I think some still think that there should be some movement, but everything is negotiable and everything's on the table. Let's find out if there's a good deal to be had. But the problem is, if we were to serve crew without the prisons, it makes it a whole lot harder to pay for that pipe between Blackstone and crew. So.
and there's also this, folks, you gotta think about it, don't think about today, think about tomorrow. No locality, even though it sounds like we've got plenty of water, we do, we're great, we're blessed. But no locality can beat its chest today and say, we've got water for our future. You want every water supply you can get. So I don't begrudge Prince Edward Farmville, even Burkeville for listening. But it may come to a point where, look, don't poach our customers. You want to do your thing up there, and if the county's, in my opinion, unwise enough to allow Prince Edward to run a pipeline to Nottaway, we might have to say, look, don't come east of Nottaway Courthouse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of this would be an issue if we knew that they wouldn't come to Blackstone and take not only any customer in Blackstone, but the facilities at Pickett that we have.
And
Tennessee,
yeah,
all that.
and the irony of this is, folks, 3 years now, more than 3 years, we have had people on Cox Road, just outside town limits, begging for water to get county permission for us to run a pipeline out there, and nothing's happened. Prince Edward has come out of the blue, and the county, it appears, seems to be falling over itself to say, here, Prince Edward, come on and bring your pipeline. It just, I don't, like I said, it sounds like something's
Water
being.
source like we have here, why can't you keep it in our county?
That's the point Jake has been making.
We make it. We can do it.
This is the point this letter's saying, keep
Right.
it in the county. It says we work better when we work together.
The
Amen.
last meeting I compared, and I told folks, I've been around a little while, but this really is the first time I've sat down with Burkeville crew and Blackstone all sitting in a room together and talking in the county. I said, this is akin to, and I wasn't in the meetings, but in the mid-90s when they were going to close Pickett, that was our, crisis moment, like crew's going through now. And man, the county really rallied to help at that time. They hired consultants and public relations and, working with the governor's office and the county really led. But it seems now the county's looking at proposals and trying to find a path forward. I see this as town of Cruz, Fort Pickett closure.
No doubt about it.
And,
County hired a lobbyist, Barry somebody, went to DC. I don't know what the county spent, but I mean, we had the big guns
oh yeah,
fighting for Pickett. So,
public relations, there were media releases, all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
but would council authorize the mayor to sign this letter if you feel comfortable with it? Of course, it won't mean anything without Brian Welch's signature. His name's on here, but there's no signature.
You wanna wait until the 90 days if they're asking for that?
I
'Cause it
said
could
we go
change.
ahead. I
I
said
said
we
we
go
go ahead
ahead.
and sign it now.
At least let the county know there's 2 towns begging for.
Yeah, I don't like the 90-day deal.
Well,
Yeah. I
We can't force anybody to sign anything, but we can show our support.
right.
So is that, someone like to make that motion?
I mean,
Mr. Morgan has moved to authorize the mayor, and Mr. Miller has seconded to sign this letter. We'll get that. The Board of Supervisors meets again after tonight, August 25th. They don't meet next week because of a VACO meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 6-0. Next up, you have your Bird Road deed of easement
I have attached for you an
to
easement.
ratify.
The easement's been executed by the grantors, and it enables the town to do drainage improvements located on their property. What we found was there were 4 property owners at the Bird Road culvert. If you guys remember that project, apparently it was a big deal back in the mid 2000s. 3 of the property owners, the Daniels, and then Dana Mitchell's father, they owned on one side, and then the other house. But Casey and Benjamin Dalton's home, which previously I think was Lee Nelms' parents, there was not one recorded. So we're presenting to you an easement to record that would allow Treescapes, who was contracted to do this work like a year ago, to be able to go in there and do the
Which
work.
I find it odd because I remember, I mean, it was a while back, but I remember that the agreement was in order for them to go in and do the improvements, that the town had to pay for some trees to be planted along the side of that creek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's why it's odd that this is,
That
There
rings
is
a-
no
rings a
easement that I
bell.
could find.
yeah, there was some,
That does ring a bell.
Leyland cypress or something planted along the edge of that
And I
creek.
found the other 3, easily the Wilkins and the Daniels and the people that own that, with that big white house up the hill, but there was not one for Lee Nelms' parents at the time,
Which
who
is,
owned
which
it.
is the old Dave Maven home.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
25-year town manager. You
this
may
is-
break his record.
Basically creating an easement for the 4th one. The work has already been contracted a year ago, and Treescapes has it, and I told them to hold until we get this one accepted, and then we'll record it at the courthouse, and then he can go.
Obviously Ben's and he's signed it, Mr. Dalton.
He did it in case he signed.
This is a ratification. This is a done deal.
No,
It's not?
it's signed, but it's not recorded.
Okay,
And I
okay.
won't record it until such time as you guys put to accept.
Have the town manager record the deed.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have awarding a bid for garage door maintenance at the police department, fire department, and bus shop. And I believe our finance director is going to report, but it looks like Amelia Overhead Door is the low bid.
Commonwealth
I'm
Garage.
sorry, no, I apologize. Commonwealth Garage Doors is the low bidder at $1,170.
We did a sealed bid, we only got 1 back, so we rejected that last month, I think, June. And, your bids, and
Was-
Commonwealth Garage Door, they missed it last year by a couple hundred, and so Amelia Door had it, in FY '22.
Just, did we open the sole bid that we had the first time?
It was a, yeah,
It was that Apple door, remember y'all rejected the
he,
bid?
he basically
What was
just,
that price? I don't even remember.
It
It
was
was
3,000 something.
substantially
3,260.
cheaper.
That's what it is now.
yeah, so Apple Door resubmitted the same bid,
Same bid,
and then
okay.
that's the one we had opened last time, and then Amelia Door resent theirs. And
Okay.
Commonwealth Garage Door got it.
Have they done any work for the town before?
No, sir. I think they're a newer garage door
Okay.
company, but
Members of council, you see that the lowest of the 4 bidders at $1,170. This is an annual contract.
I believe so.
Members of council, what's your pleasure?
So motion to accept the lowest bid.
Mr. Morgan is moved. I'll get the second to Mr. Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ongoing projects, we've got dilapidated buildings. We saw the big fire on Saturday at 500 Northwest Avenue.
That one's gone. We'll just clean up the debris that's left. There's cinder blocks and some metal and, washing machine, a couple other things that need to be taken out of there. Fire department did a whale of a job.
They did.
Helped out and helped the town, but really helped this individual out. That was kind of community service stuff right there. 1003 was a blighted home. The property owners took it down at their expense, and they contracted for the asbestos removal, and we're thankful for them doing that. Miss Clay and her sister, Miss Greenhill, came down, and they were very cooperative and helpful, and it worked nicely and is gone, and we have no issue there anymore. So 2 of our problem homes are no longer with us. You guys have seen that we've dealt with the Wolf's home. We have 2 or 3 other blight letters out, including Oak Street. And Oak Street is moving forward in the legal process.
You're talking about
and
415 Oak?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll be in court hopefully.
Yeah, what we need tonight is, we did not have a response back from the owners, so what we would need tonight from town council is a vote to advertise for a public hearing to start the eminent domain condemnation process.
And that means taking the property, eminent domain.
That's your recommendation?
Yes, sir. We've given them plenty of time. It's been a year.
I would entertain a motion from council.
So moved.
Mr. Nash has moved to proceed with eminent domain at 415 Oak Street. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Allman is seconded. Any further discussion?
It's a nasty house.
Yeah, it's been, we've been talking about that 2 years.
For the same amount of time we were talking Fifth Street,
Yeah.
literally. So,
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Miller had a question, excuse
I
me.
had a question while we talking about this. Remember the house we talked about on Calvin Street?
On Tavern Street.
Yeah, at the corner. I think it's the,
It's a Turner home,
right,
and it's not in great shape. I don't think it rises to the level of Blighted. It's right at the corner of Harris,
right.
and it's a two-story home. Pretty tough looking. It's not, but the grass is cut, and I asked the owner if he wanted us to address it as part of that east end, and I don't think he was as cooperative. So I think if there's gonna be something done with that home, I think it's gonna be a matter of that there has to be an enforcement action. I don't think he's gonna voluntarily say, yeah, tear down my old family place, but, the problem with that house, look at that siding on the outside, man, you're gonna spend $10,000 cleaning the asbestos off that property.
Live on Oak Street, just be
It's
prepared.
gonna be, yeah, I think we've already gotten a cost estimate of $8,900 on get these.
And that'll be a lien, basically.
No, you're gonna own the property.
Yeah, we're gonna own it.
There'll be
so
no lien. You'll
Okay.
own the property, and then you can sell the property and reduce the cost.
Yeah.
A neighbor will buy it.
Unless I'm telling you something that
I,
Jesse,
I think
but the eminent
we'll be
domain,
okay in that one.
you'll own that rascal.
Yeah, we'll be okay. All right, did that motion carry, Madam Clerk? Did we vote on that? Yes, we did. We voted on eminent domain. I'm sorry. We
Yes.
did. And the next, before you have your, we have 3 outstanding meals tax reports when
And as of today, there's only one.
only one, and we have 1 outstanding lodging tax. So they're on our radar. Any concerns from staff on that? We'll just
Can we
continue to.
start adding to this list outstanding, business license?
Well, hopefully that list will be much shorter
That
very quickly.
won't fit on the page.
Roughly, what is it?
Number of
10, 20, 50,
15.
15 of non-current business licenses? 'Cause it was I mean,
There's 2 that are over 3 years.
we didn't get, we we were less stringent during COVID, but then we found that we've had some folks hadn't had a business license 2 or 3 years.
Which,
We're getting them current.
I can see that being somewhat of an excuse,
I know.
but it's not a fair excuse.
Nope,
No.
I
At all.
totally agree.
It needs to
You'll
be
be-
enforced across the
Right.
board.
And have resisted any of, and you know, Brittany sends them letters and
All right.
nada.
She's got a few that, you know,
Yeah.
Her number, I mean, but she has made an aggressive effort on this, and it is,
yes.
Much better, yeah, yeah.
And I think she's gonna start working with tax.
To get
Yeah.
these
See that
Yes.
business licenses done.
I mean, who'd have thought you had to get a business license to run a business? I mean, what kind of country is this?
Well, in all fairness to everyone who does get that license like they're supposed to, this needs to be fixed.
Right, fair competition.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I agree. So we need, some of them, believe it or not, are chain restaurants.
If you don't have a
are
business
here in
license,
town,
you need to pay
and
to
it's
have a
just-
peddler's license.
Unusual.
Yeah.
So,
I'm surprised. Usually they're like clockwork.
and we'll get them all cleaned up. I mean, it just,
All right. Moving right along to street improvements. There've been a few. Do we know the downtown paving schedule right now for the downtown between?
I will
Irving
update you
and
on that,
Dinwiddie.
if I may.
Yes.
Main Street from Irvin to Dinwiddie Avenue will begin. It's supposed to begin Sunday. And it's supposed to begin today because it got rained out, so it'll start tomorrow evening
At what time?
at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay?
And on Friday and Saturday nights are not going to work.
Friday and Saturday nights are off limits. So it'll be Tuesday night milling, Wednesday night milling, which is where they grind it up. So it'll be a rough drive. I mean, there'll be bump signs, all kinds of stuff. And then Thursday night paving, and then no Friday, no Saturday. I'll come back on Sunday and finish
It
the
won't
paving.
be as rough as South Main Street.
It's all right.
South Main Street pretty tough. I get
Just seen
it.
it last Friday night.
It was, yeah. It was,
I was
We
down
did
there.
see it last Friday
I
night.
was here last Friday night yanking stuff out of the drains, and it was a long, laborious conversation with the inspectors.
And on South Main Street, just thinking long term, when do we think that project will all be? That's a was it 6 month or 1 year project?
Gosh, I can't remember the exact dates. I think it was a 6-month contract, but I think they'll be done in September.
Really?
Yep. Maybe not all the paving, but the pipe will be in September.
How about the sidewalk and all that?
Inside the project area, yeah, but remember, we're taking that sidewalk all the way to 10th Street,
Right.
so there's little spots, and that may not be done, but I think they're actually, the beef of what they're doing will be done in September.
You see before you on an item, Wigglesworth Complex, that the concession stand has been completed. Now, turf is going to be done by Greg Young. Is that Greg Young Lawn Solutions?
Yeah.
and lighting and fencing will follow, and the Gators will play there next year.
I got a question. What is Lawn Solutions gonna do?
Lawrence,
Lawn Solutions.
the guy that makes
Does miracles.
turf.
Yeah.
He make that thing happen. And that's the guy. We've right now got crabgrass and ryegrass out there,
Okay.
and that was what the deal was. He's gonna make that thing.
You're cutting the grass, you typically cuss them because it grows too much.
Yeah, I got cut
Okay.
twice a week.
He's
Now-
certified, just so the audience benefits, what makes it, he's one of the few, I believe, you help me, Eric, that's licensed to spray whatever it is, that magic spray he's got that just,
Herbicides, pesticides.
herbicide, yeah,
He's got an emergent prevention for crabgrass. I mean, it's turf. If you go to those baseball fields, we get complaints because the turf is too thick because the ball will die in there. So it'll be fancy.
So we can get with you. We walk that field. You know, we said we can walk
Sure,
that field.
absolutely.
'Cause they got some concerns, so that way we'll get it all straight. Jake, you said you wanted to walk with us. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we'll take it over.
I'll get with them and find out what they.
Our goal is not to have a half of a or a football field. Our goal is to have, wow, this is yet again something great that the town was able to do.
moving right along to the east end, we've got 5 homes to be repaired or rebuilt.
And they are underway. There were 3 left. Total 11, 3 remained after the last batch, and I think the Housing Rehab Board approved 2. And I said one was on Fitzgerald Street, but I think it's on Fitzgerald and or on Broad Street. And the second one that I mentioned in my narrative said Tavern Street. I think it's actually on Broad Street, if I'm not
But
mistaken.
they got one over there on Tavern Street. I know you working on.
Right now, we're working on it's a duplex right there.
Right.
Right.
What
And that's-
it should be Tavern and what?
It should be Broad and Fitzgerald Street.
East end's moving right along. Under Taylor Bottom, the packet says nothing to report, but I do want to say, Chastity, I appreciate all her outreach efforts and the picnic on, enjoyed being over there at the picnic on Friday and talking to some property owners, and that, what is it, 56 to 57 homes in the project area?
It's 56 homes, 13, I believe, are unoccupied.
Wow.
33 surveys completed, and waiting on the other 20 plus to return the surveys. 2 filled out, completed, and brought in applications with the supporting documents.
So good response, and people seem really enthused about that.
Yes, they want it to be done today.
Right.
I explained to them, once we close out East End, that'll be our next area we go over to. And I explained to them, grants take time, but we're working as fast as we can, and I wanted to start pulling information now, so when we apply for these grants, we have it already set to go, we don't have to wait. A lot of them understood. I've identified 2 spark plugs for the area.
Okay.
And I've had a lot of the community reach out and say, well, I give this one a survey and I give this one an application. So the community is very eager to begin.
Were any of the spark plugs at the dinner table on Friday night?
No.
Oh, they weren't,
were
they,
not there.
okay, I thought maybe they might be spark plugs.
They were not there.
All right, well, that's great. We appreciate your efforts on that, and moving on to,
If we would, I mean, really want to emphasize if Chastity can continue to work towards that South Main Street project, I mean, that would be, it would show that we don't only do certain areas, that we venture out and do the.
And although we don't have it in the budget, if money does become available by the end of the fiscal year, maybe we can start that process of setting some of it aside.
You can obviously tell there's need there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's rare that I don't drive the food line, I don't see
Yeah.
somebody walking
the
back.
Wolf House.
Oh yeah.
That there's.
Oh, you're talking,
they
I'm
can't-
sorry.
Yeah, it needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving right along to the Armory, it looks like shortly after Arts and Crafts, which is September 10th and 11th, we're gonna start, probably be removing asbestos and lead paint from the Armory.
Correct.
You've got the bids out, is that correct?
They aren't out yet, but the Commonwealth Regional Council will be putting them out hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
All right, very good. Under weatherization.
No, I do have a motion I need for the
okay.
Armory.
All right, what is that? I'm
Attached,
sorry.
attached is a resolution prepared for council's approval to be submitted with a grant application. Town Chastity and the Commonwealth Regional Council are working on a grant application, and it's Industrial Revitalization Fund monies. It's the same chunk of monies that we originally talked about 3-4 years ago when we said $600,000 could be had. VUMAC skipped in front of it, but we believe we are in a position where, with Virginia State and what we believe is going on at this point, and the VEDP grant that's been awarded, we're going to ask with y'all's permission, to apply for $1 million of industrial revitalization funding grant monies, and the reason we capped at 1 million is because we don't have to match it. Correct, so we don't have to put any more local effort into it. If we got half of that, I shouldn't say that publicly, but we'd probably be a lot better off than we are right now. The $1 million is capped because it doesn't require any more local effort. But in addition, if you look at the construction costs, and speaking with Randy Jones and the guys today, he said, water and sewer and utility construction is 100% markup right now from where it was 2 years ago. A pipe, a fire hydrant, everything is 100% more. He said, I'm not an architect, but I think you're certainly within reason saying a 50% increase in construction costs from an estimate that was prepared early in 2020. So,
And just for the public's benefit, this resolution, just y'all, some of you who come here often have heard this. Part of the multi-use of the Armory will be developing a hospitality and culinary job training center in conjunction with VSU, Virginia State University, and Callion Hospitality. They're the folks doing the Inn at Blackstone. And I did a little research, and VSU, Historically Black College University, is only one. They have one of only 5 hospitality programs among HBCUs in the country. It is very well respected, and I think this is a winning, one of many good uses for the Armory, and this is how you help conceivably fund this baby. And they'll also fill a need in this community to get folks to work and manage, and this could be a stepping stone for them in their career. So I'd ask council to authorize approval of this resolution.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign for this resolution up to $1 million.
So moved.
Mr. Miller has seconded. Any further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote just for the record, starting with Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries 6-0. Now, weatherization, we've got documentation for a new home to be built at 816 Fall Street.
that home will be demolished. There's a can out front now, a Connex box. Have the daughters gotten everything out of the gentleman's home?
They said they was working on it, the rain kept preventing them, but they've been.
We're waiting on them to get that stuff, move some cars, and then the town will be tearing down the house. Okay. Bids have been received, and it came back at $84,500, and I expect the rehab board will get an opportunity to vote on that. But the lowest bidder right now is Divine Builders from Amelia, and they're the ones that built the concession stand, and they've done several other houses. They're at $84,500, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully we can get underway with that, but we didn't want to tear anybody's house down until we had a contract signed between the homeowner and the contractor and the town. And then,
Sorry, is it, so it's 50,000 in weatherization?
no, it's $100,000 from 2 years. Last fiscal year
For one home.
for one home is $84,500 plus demolition and any of the asbestos and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's some trees that are dead close to that house that we may take down. And we also received, and there's an agreement attached for $50,000 from Nottaway County for the renovation of 309 Patterson Street. And the agreement is enclosed. This is program income the county's been sitting on since Ronnie was in high
20
school.
years ago.
But I will say this, the county did compliment the town of Blackstone. It was about a month ago when they authorized this. They said the town of Blackstone has is very robust program.
Our housing
There was
program
really no
is great.
hesitation on the county's part, so we definitely appreciate that. You need a motion on this but this is all informational.
And the rehab board handles those others, but informational from Mr. Blunt's house on Fall Street.
All right.
We have not bid out the Patterson Street home yet.
I don't think Earl's been over there yet, has he?
We've been over there. I've been in the house with him. How much of a write-up he's got, or if he's got the specs done, I don't know. But we have walked through the house.
Moving right along to new business, we have the Babs agreement, and this is annual, and it's most of our packet. It's a lot of pages of information. Has our local share gone up considerably? I'm looking, what is our local share gonna be?
I'm going to defer to our very able
Yes, we
finance
see Ms.
director
Murphy
and
here.
transit director.
Well, because I'm seeing our local share at 211. Normally the Babs cost Blackstone $50,000-$60,000 a year, is my recollection. Am I off base on that?
I think it's right. I believe it is in the 40s at one time.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
local share is the same as it was for FY '22, that's including our, local matches from other localities and our fairs and everything altogether.
That's it. I knew there was something I was missing reading this. Okay. So you are seeking approval from council for the FTA, Federal Transit Administration agreement with Babs. It's pretty much something we do every year,
Right, and the state as well.
and that's DPRT, Department of Rails and Public Transportation. Members of council, what is your pleasure?
So moved.
Mr. Miller has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Allman is second. I'll ask for a roll call vote because it will exceed $10,000 on the local end. Mr. Miller?
Aye.
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 That motion carries 6-0. Annual paving, I mean, we just never stop paving in Blackstone. You're requesting authorization to advertise for sealed bids, but you don't really need council approval for that.
I just want to let you guys know our paving projects for the upcoming year are logically going to be the asphalt work on the second phase of Eastdale, around all that curbing, and then the area around Wigglesworth to
Don't say Wigglesworth, it's Wigglesworth.
Wigglesworth. In Annie's neighborhood, Lester Street, if you notice the streets are looking a little tough, Oak Street, that'll be the area that we address next on tar and gravel, so there'll actually be 2 bids put out. And it's gonna be probably the same faces that bid on it, but I have to get them out relatively soon, because if we wait till after the first of the year, the big 800-pound gorilla VDOT gobbles everybody up and nobody bids on our stuff, so we're actually doing it probably 2 or 3 months ahead of time.
That's excellent, that's outstanding. Under committee referrals, I know y'all, if anyone watches Facebook, y'all are probably tired of hearing about it. We've got a request for traffic calming devices on Nottaway Avenue.
Correct.
What do
And
those suckers cost a piece? When I drive over in front of, on Lunenburg Avenue, there's 2 of them.
Those are temporary.
Those are just temporary.
those are temporary.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ones that were put in at the basketball courts,
Yes.
I can go back and look
Like
and see what they.
$7,500 a piece, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but,
Those that are out temporary, they're $200.
Right. And let me ask y'all this, and the police are here, I believe. Somebody apparently took it upon themselves to go out and move one of the traffic devices.
Yesterday.
That would be some sort of violation, would it not? You don't just go arbitrarily move. I mean, like me going and moving a stop sign. You know, I don't want to stop here.
what do you write them up
Never
for?
had that issue brought up because these are new.
Okay.
I'm gonna move one of the ones on 10th Street yesterday.
Yeah, I just don't like that renegade attitude because I can tell you now, they're universally popular. Everyone's saying, I want one in front of my house. And that tells me when people are willing to drive over it, means we have either the perception of a speeding problem or a speeding problem.
And
I'd like to, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to commend our police department on that issue though. I saw a big police presence during when we were having all that detour, and you know, the neighborhood greatly appreciated it. And it's good to see all out there.
Jake did a great job too. Jake was very proactive because on social media, staying abreast of that.
It's not to deter people from driving it. It's to, I mean, like right now, they're still out now. People are driving through there instead of going down Main Street because they say it's bumpy. So
Right.
you got to go through a few more bumps in our neighborhood.
Right.
But you can't put those things all over town. I mean, it's to a point where, you know, people are speeding up and down every road in town. You can't put speed bumps all over town.
You can't do that.
I can completely understand Pickett Court. It's a, confined area. You can't see kids bolting through cars and stuff.
Then we got residential areas that might need some.
Well, I'm going to refer this to the Street and Light Committee. We have a request from a gentleman, Mr. James Pateris, who would like him on Nottaway Avenue. I don't know what part. I mean, Nottaway Avenue, that street's only about 1.5 miles long.
Yeah, but they've been speeding up down there. I mean, when I was working in Blackstone, they used to haul freight
we
up
did
there
put
that
that stop sign out there, if you remember.
Yeah.
Everybody
Time ago,
runs
and-
the stop sign.
And the neighbors just say it doesn't slow them down. There's just a lot of traffic. Reverend Hogan has been in my office many times.
Yeah.
That would accuse me at night.
I think this guy lives on the lower end though.
He lives on the Cole Harbor apartment end.
Right,
Where
right.
that house was torn down, he's
Right.
2 doors down.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask y'all this. Think out loud. I'd ask the committee to think about this. This may be too ambitious. What if you have a neighborhood, a block area, like we do curb and gutter, where they're so determined that they'd be willing to pay for the speed bump? Because like Lonnie said, you can't, there's 2 things Lonnie said that are right. There's the practicality of putting speed bumps all over Blackstone, and then there's also the cost aspect. But if you had a block that said 100%, we're going to go in, however they decide, we're going to pay for the speed bump. That to me would be somewhat of a powerful statement that, hey, of course, people will sell homes and move, but
We've got the speed bump policy or traffic calming policy.
is that part of it?
No, it doesn't say anything about them paying, but it does say that there's supposed to be a series of surveys conducted that a number of folks in the community want to look at it.
Right.
And then once approved, that a certain percentage of the community is agreeable for them to be put in based on a particular plan.
Something to think about.
I think Pickett Court-
If we decide to do it like that, they need to be something permanent, not these.
Oh, yeah, this is gonna be asphalt.
This would be like on South Harris, on Harris Street by the ballpark.
You see his asterisk on there as well. It says, this is also constant irritating violation of the noise ordinance here with no enforcement. We can now enforce noise, correct, as of July 1? Okay.
I saw y'all had 10 complaints in the report, but it didn't say the number of tickets, and I guess y'all warned some folks. I mean, no one wants to be the, you know,
I couldn't tell you the numbers right now.
That's okay. y'all got plenty on your plate, but I will say there was about a 2 or 3 week period where I was like, hey, I'm not hearing the loud vehicles. And the other day, it was like, man, it was like there must have been like an unofficial protest of the noise policy because it was just nonstop. But anyway, under Mayor's Minute, I had 3 things. We did the ponytail, we did the proclamation for the sudden infant death syndrome and the miscarriages. I got a letter, and it's in your packet, and I've been contacting, everybody in Blackstone has been talking about the slow mail service. And I want to stress what I've heard from people, and I've even talked to people that have knowledge. We got good folks who work at that post office. Carriers are awesome. I've talked to someone that many of y'all know and love who retired not too long ago. The problem seems to be in Richmond. So I picked up the phone and called our Congresswoman and Congresswoman Spanberger's staff. They are going to do a formal inquiry into what's going on with mail delivery in Blackstone, why you can live somewhere and for 3 days not get mail, and then all of a sudden Saturday you got this much mail. So I wanted you to be aware that I took it upon myself to contact the Congresswoman, and they were just like that. The second item under Mayor's Minute was the museum. You have correspondence there from Bobby Thomas, who's been very incredibly generous of his time, not just with the council, but other groups. And Bobby left, didn't he? Did Bobby leave?
He did.
Well, here's some good news. He's doing the wine festival, I think it's October 22nd, and Dave McCormick's brewery, Trapezium, is going to have a presence. They're a clean brewery. He's the man doing the town shop, and he's got all kinds of properties here. But you see the letter. Bobby and a lot of folks in town really are dying to get these museums open and staffed. And I guess it's going to be contingent on what we do with this position. Tourism, y'all going to meet next week about this DBI director of tourism?
We'll meet next week.
Okay, I want the council to be aware of that. That's all I've got. I'll try to give all information. You had the police report in your packet. At this time, any citizens have questions or concerns? Anything you didn't understand tonight? Yes, I see a hand up. Mr. Bagley?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the, new sidewalks that's supposed to be going down towards, the Walmart area. And I really want us to look at that, because right now the problem is people are walking on the left side of the street going down towards Walmart. I think our plan is to put sidewalks on the right side of the street going down.
That is correct.
Okay, now,
On the Goodwill side of the street.
right, do we really think the people that's walking that way gonna cross the street and walk down on those new sidewalks? They get to the end, they gotta walk across the street to go to the store. Now, I know why, well, I think I know why we're doing it that way. But I think we need to look at that again, and look at it hard.
Well,
Because we might be wasting money, time, effort, and energy to put the sidewalk on the right side of the street when it's actually needed on the left side of the street.
I've often worried that we're going to be featured on some TV show that the town that built the sidewalk to nowhere. That we're going to have a brand new sidewalk. You're going to see people walking through the dirt path. The problem is obviously there's not enough room in front of the garden center. Now, the good news is we haven't planned to spend the money yet. We're trying to apply for the money. I think the solution, by the new sidewalk coming up on the across from Dollar General, that's going to be a brand new sidewalk. So people, where it's less busy, will start on that path. Your concern is the same as I am. Once they get to Food Line or Walmart, that's a large street to cross. I believe, Mr. Town Manager, the plan is to have some sort of like safety island and pushing a button to make the people stop. But Mr. Bagley, I think that many of us share that concern. Have we had anybody beat out to come and look and say, hey, that will work, Blackstone, you're on the right track, or that's kind of crazy, you're not going to do it?
Well, if you remember, 10 or 12 years ago, this was kind of a hot button project for the widening of that section of the street. When I got here, it was in the 6-year plan, which is now
20-year plan.
18-year plan,
Right.
20-year plan. The problem on the Clay side is just cost. sheer,
I
the
understand.
topography, the terrain, just makes it wildly more expensive. VDOT did give us a cost estimate to do a 6-year plan project of it. It was like $4 million, and the topography and terrain, not the only problem, and I agree with you, there's logical places across the street, but if you look over there, there's a
Utility
lot of
poles.
overhead utilities that are really daunting to try to move, and because of cost, that was a lot of,
I would love for it to be on the garden center side because it would get rid of that ditch I have to maintain. But I know
Not the most.
that it's the most feasible, and I've been pushing for this for years, and I'm gonna push a lot harder in the next year or two, if I'm still on here, to get this done, because it has been
why are you looking at me?
needed for a long time.
Sidewalk level.
Well, I'm gonna, you know, and like I said, it's gonna be expensive. This may sound silly as well. I'm sure it's too costly to have, like, you know, I know Longwood's got something in Farmer where could you do it, the arch over that would be probably crazy expensive. But I worry about the safety, Mr. Bay. I worry two things. We're gonna have this nice big ribbon cutting, look at that nice sidewalk, and you see the same people walking on the left side of the road, and then someone, or the one person that tries it gets hit by a car the first week.
It's not gonna increase the amount you have to walk by that much by just getting on the right side of the road. So I
It's
don't
not,
think
but the
it's
perception is. You and I are right. Factually, it does not.
Yeah.
But the average perception is, no, I ain't crossing that street out there. That's what I worry about. We'll have to educate them. But y'all will have to educate them, or people will have to educate them.
Well, if you do the arches, do they have to be so tall, like so tractor
Yeah.
trailers?
It would be a big
Yeah, that'd be a big one. That tractor trailers. Have to do the underground tunnel.
Might falls off.
Anyway, good, Mr. Bagley, great point. Any other points from the audience? Any other concerns? We're the only governing body I cover that you get to talk to town council twice. And we don't have a time limit here. We appreciate y'all coming and listening. We do have a need for a closed session, I believe.
Brief.
It's nothing to do with real estate, is it?
No.
Can we go into closed session to discuss real estate, town square, as well as personnel administration? I'd entertain a motion to that. I just have one real quick thing.
So move.
Motion made and seconded to go in closed session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. This should not be too long. We do need our attorney. She is here.